What's up YouTube, Jeff back again. Today another very exciting Samsung video for you guys. Today we're talking about the best S Pen tips and tricks for your Galaxy S26 Ultra. And yes, Samsung has made the S Pen worse in terms of features over the last few generations with Bluetooth going away. And this year they also made the S Pen feel a little more hollow, a little cheaper for the overall writing experience compared to the S25 Ultra. But there's still a lot you can do here, and I want to show you guys what I use the S Pen for in my daily life. So let's go ahead and get right into the video. The first thing that you can use the S Pen for that it's incredibly useful is the screen off memo. Now, whether you have the screen off entirely or you're using the always on display, you can simply hover your S Pen over the screen and press the S Pen button, and that's going to initiate the screen off memo. From here, you can write a note, a reminder for later, and the coolest thing that you can do here is you can pin it to your screen. That way you're going to see that memo anytime that you go ahead and turn your screen back off, because it's going to stay there, it's going to stay pinned. So if you need to remember to get milk and eggs, you can pin that screen off memo and you'll see that throughout the day to remind yourself. It's a really easy way if you don't want to use a more complicated reminder app to just get those simple reminders. You need to call someone, you can put all of that information there. And then of course the screen off memos also get saved to your Samsung Notes, so have a list of all of these if you want to go back and revisit them later. Before we move to the next tip, I also want to give you guys a productivity hack for those of you who do use the S Pen, because sometimes the S Pen isn't the only tool that you need. A lot of people take handwritten notes on their Galaxy S26 Ultra during meetings, brainstorming sessions, or interviews, but sometimes writing things down just isn't fast enough when you're trying to capture everything someone is saying, especially if they're a fast speaker. That's where this can come in. This is the Comulytic Note Pro, an AI-powered recorder that automatically turns full conversations into organized notes. Instead of manually writing everything down with the S Pen, you can tap one button and record the conversation. After you do the recording, you can easily open this up to get a summary, transcripts, insights, action list, highlights, etc. Now, if you have a short recording, it might not be able to give everything, but for longer recordings, you'll be able to get a beautiful executive summary, insights, highlights, and also choose the various templates that you're interested in. The app enables you to get so much more out of the Comulytic Note Pro. It transcribes everything automatically with unlimited speech-to-text transcription, so you don't have to worry about running out of minutes or paying extra to capture any of your meetings. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. The Galaxy S26 Ultra already has built-in voice recording, and that is absolutely true, but the level of voice recording and transcription that you get on offer just isn't in the same tier. A dedicated voice recorder like the Comulytic Note Pro gives you cleaner audio capture, deeper transcription tools, and much more powerful AI summaries.
It makes sense to include Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, etc., which will allow us to get more traffic from the US instead of international destinations. This is a priority item.
What's great is that it doesn't just create a wall of text. The AI automatically organizes the conversation into summaries, key insights, and even a to-do list, so you can stay fully focused on the discussion without constantly stopping to write things down. For example, if I am planning a video or discussing article ideas for Sammy Guru, I can easily use the Comulytic Note Pro to keep track of that information. I record those conversations and then review the AI summary later while organizing everything on the S26 Ultra using my S Pen for manual annotation. Setup with the Comulytic Note Pro is also incredibly simple. It's one-touch recording, and it can even recognize different speakers automatically, which makes reviewing longer meetings way easier later on. Another thing I like is the flexibility. You can place it on the table and start recording very simply, magnetic attach it to the back of your phone, and it also supports AI transcription and summaries in over 100 languages, which makes it useful for international meetings or international calls. So the way that I look at this is the S Pen is perfect for quick notes and sketches, but if you want an entire conversation captured and organized automatically, Comulytic Note Pro can fill that gap incredibly nicely. If you guys want to check it out, I'll have the link below in the pinned comment and description. There's also currently a limited time offer on the Comulytic Note Pro that's available right now. If you guys check out that link in the pinned comment description, you can take advantage of it today. Now let's go ahead and get right back into the S Pen tips and tricks. All right, up next, let's talk about AI Select and Circle to Search, which are both amazing features that you can use with the S Pen. So Samsung used to call this Smart Select, but if you go into your slide out menu here on the upper right of the home screen, you'll find AI Select is the top option here in your quick settings there on that bar. This used to be called the Edge panel, but Samsung's really stayed away from really talking much about it or naming it. But AI Select can be very useful if you're browsing social media, for instance, something like Instagram, and you want to grab a photo or part of a photo. Now, AI Select now does a great job of kind of grabbing what you're interested in without you even having to use the S Pen. But if you say you're on Instagram and you want to grab only a part of a photo and not the entire thing, you can use AI Select, and then you can just grab that small part that you want by highlighting it with the S Pen, which does give you a lot of additional precision. Of course, you can do it with your own photos as well if you want, but being able to crop something for social media and then you can also share it from there, there's a lot of other great options that you have with AI Select. In addition, you can also use this with Circle to Search, like if you're on a website, for instance, our website, if you go to sammyguru.com, you can long press on the bottom nav bar if you're using nav gestures, and then you'll be able to circle anything that you want to know about with the S Pen. So, circle the Sammy Guru logo. You can then go through and search this, and it will give you information about our website. Tells you what we focus on, gives you information about our website. We'll show you some various pieces of our logo. It's very simple, but it's also a great use of the S Pen. Up next, we can talk about Magnify and Translate, which are both very basic functions, but are very simple and also useful, just like AI Select and Circle to Search. But with Magnify, it's very simple. If you're on a website and you want to magnify that text, you can just go ahead and bring that up, and then you're going to be able to see it much larger. So you can choose how much you want to magnify it. Makes it really easy to read the text. Now, you'll be able to choose at the top there. You can go all the way up to 300% magnification and just check that little X if you want to get out of there. Now, if you want to translate something, which we need to translate the elec, which is actually a paper in Korea that covers Samsung news a lot, you can easily use the translate function, just hover over the text that you want to translate. So for instance, if I have something here that's in Korean, then I'll easily be able to go ahead and hover right over that, and it'll easily translate that for me. Now, a lot of browsers like Chrome, of course, will translate this for you automatically these days, but there are some times where that doesn't kick in, or you're reading something that's inside of a document that you've opened in your browser and you want to translate that, and the S Pen translate function still works when maybe those browsers don't auto-recognize and auto-translate. So it's really nice to have this feature, and it's a practical one that works really well. Next, we can talk about math solving with the S Pen. This is something I've talked about for a few years now. Microsoft got rid of their Math Solver app, which was my favorite way to use the S Pen to solve math problems, but you still have a couple of viable options. Last year, I talked about one key option that I like a lot. You can go into Samsung Notes, and then you can write out the equation, and then you can actually go and do Circle to Search or Gemini and just hold down and ask Gemini to solve the problem that is on the screen. This works incredibly well, and it'll give you a full step-by-step solution. So you can go into your Google app or wherever, Gemini, even Gemini itself, take a screenshot of your note and then just feed it in there. Now, Google also now owns the PhotoMath application. I didn't realize they had acquired PhotoMath. So you can kind of do this in a simpler way. If you have the PhotoMath app, you can just go ahead and take your notes, write out your equation, your homework, whatever you're doing. If you don't have a photo, you can either take a photo out of your book, but if you're working on a problem yourself, like a more complicated calculus problem where you're several steps along, you can write out everything you've done and then put that into PhotoMath. It'll instantly give you that solution that you're looking for with a step-by-step guide. Now, one question a lot of people ask is why not use the math solver that Samsung has built in to Notes? And it's not really a math solver. It's really for doing, it's not for advanced math, right? It's not for algebra or calculus. I taught at the university level of mathematics for a long time. This is for solving basic addition, multiplication. So if you need to do like 8 times 105, it could do those for you, but you can use a regular calculator for that. So that's not really an advanced use of the S Pen. The real advantage of the S Pen is you can write out math, which is sometimes hard to type, and also tedious even in something like PhotoMath to type, especially if you're doing a very complicated calculus type problem where you're several steps along. You can now write that out with the S Pen in your Samsung Notes, screenshot it, feed it to Gemini or PhotoMath, and get a full solution, which is fantastic. Let's talk about Drawing Assist and Creative Studio next, because these are two Galaxy Eye features where you may want to use the S Pen, and they can be a lot of fun to play with. So if we're talking about Drawing Assist and the Creative Studio, Samsung has actually kind of changed this and built them into one. If you go into Galaxy Eye, you will notice that Drawing Assist no longer really shows up as a separate option. You just have Photo Assist, and then below it is called Creative Studio. So if you go into Creative Studio, what this lets you do now, and it's actually a separate app on your device, you'll see the Creative Studio icon when you first set up your Galaxy S26 Ultra. you can then select Creative Studio and you can go in there and do a couple of interesting things. You can use a drawing style and actually use your S Pen to start with a base of what AI will edit. So this gives you a better way to have AI kind of take it from there. It's basically what Drawing Assist was doing before, but now Creative Studio can do some additional things. You could start with a picture and like an S Pen drawing, and then you can also add like a prompt, a text prompt, to tell it what to do with a little more detail. So Drawing Assist can take it and not only get inspiration from your S Pen drawings and add to it with different creative styles, but you now also have text-based editing as well. And there's also new options like creating stickers, invitations, greeting cards, profile cards, and your own wallpaper. So you can basically describe it, draw it with the S Pen, or use an image, and then you have all these different styles: childhood sketch, markers drawings, Insta-tune, soft illustration. There's a lot of things to choose from. So if you're creative and you're a good drawer, so I'm not the best at drawing, but if you're a good artist, starting with that base is going to give you a good result because AI has something nice to work with. Lastly, I will mention the Pentastic module because Pentastic gives you a lot of great options to customize your S Pen. Pentastic is a module within inside of Samsung's Good Lock application, and Pentastic does give you the option to customize your air command, also customize your various sounds when the S Pen comes out, and the icon. So you can choose from a heart, crocodile, a dinosaur. You can even make a custom one. So if you upload your own image, you'd then be able to go ahead and use that as your S Pen pointer, which I've done in the past with a T-Rex. One of my son's little toy dinosaurs, took a picture of it, turned that into my S Pen icon. One of my other favorite features here is you can get your own air command. You can get the retro style, which I'm using on my S26 Ultra, and you can set up a double tap quick shortcut. So if you double tap your S Pen on the screen, it does something. You can choose the action. I choose AI Select because, as I said earlier, that's kind of what I use the most, but you can choose whatever it is that you want and whatever you use the most. So those guys are all my S Pen tips and tricks for using your S Pen with the S26 Ultra. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Huge shout out again to our sponsor, Comulytic Note Pro. Check out that device because having an AI voice recorder that can give you those powerful summaries that you can then annotate with your S Pen can really make your productivity a lot nicer, especially if you're in a lot of meetings or if you need to translate a lot of international type calls for your business. It can be fantastic. Check out that limited time offer below in the pinned comment description. Appreciate you guys checking it out. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'll get back to those as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.